Hey, Maxwell.
Hello.
How's it going?
How are you?
It's going well. Let me just yell at my AI assistant. AI assistant, I love you. Please figure out how to turn on my Elgato key light. I don't care if you have to hack into, I don't know, my LAN. Do whatever you need to do. Turn it on. Thank you, assistant. I believe in you. Big dog. You got to be nice. I hooked up a... what did I hook up? I hooked up Claude Code to to a Telegram. I downloaded Telegram. It's really easy to make bots with Telegram, so I can like record and it'll transcribe with Parakeet and then send it to a Claude Code instance running on my computer. Oh, great! Did it kill itself? No, it didn't kill itself. Okay. I also taught it how to restart itself, and sometimes it gets confused and just kills itself. It's really
Kid,
sad.
you're entering the Claude code singularity that you warned us all about months ago.
Yeah, no, I'm fully taken over. I've given it the keys to my life.
Kid is toast, everyone. Kid is cooked.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Had a wonderful holiday. Good recharge. Took a lot. Probably took the most time off that I've taken in a while. So that was pretty nice.
Right. All right, time to short effect.
I took more time off than I did when my son was born. So
hey,
nice.
my key light's on now. It's just a hideous color. That's amazing. Well, yeah, the just family time, hanging with the kids. Man, your kids are sweet. Have they learned any new tricks?
Well, they're always learning new tricks. That's the problem. It's hard to keep up with them.
It's insane. It's insane. Every freaking few minutes.
Yeah,
a new word.
It was fun, and especially my daughter's old enough to understand Christmas now. So I was like,
does she really understand Christmas? Does she understand the meaning of Christmas?
She's horrified of Santa Claus, so that's something.
Then she gets it. That's the purpose. Yeah, I prefer. Maybe she's more of like those Nordic peoples whose Santa Claus is like a demon that comes and enslaves people. I forget which variety that is. The
Krampus.
The Krampus, yes. The Nordic. I don't know what culture that is. It's somewhere over there. It's a Midsummer thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's German, and I think it's Krampus is like the demonic Santa Claus. I don't really know the lore.
My German grandfather got me coal ones for Christmas. It's a nice thing.
Nice.
Yeah. I have to yell at my AI assistant one more time. You turned on the light. Good job, big dog. I believe in you. But it's kind of a hideous fluorescent white. If you can make it really nice and juicy warm. But though maybe white's better. I don't know. But it feels weird. I should probably be white. Why am I? Anyway, what's going on? So hello, people. Welcome to the Effect Office Hours. Is the audio all good, by the way? I don't know.
On my end, it's good.
I preferred white, actually. Actually, make it back to white. I tricked you.
I did.
So, what should we talk about? I mean, did anyone ask any questions? It's been a little while. We're kind of out of it. Sorry for being so intermittent with the office hours. We're going to try to be more regular going forward as much as we can be. But, we do this out of the love of Effect. So, whatever. Hi, RJ.
Sorry, I'm opening my stream manager so that if anybody chats on Twitch, I can see. Hello, RJ. Welcome.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should just sort of do a little bit of an update. Do you have any sort of announcements or things that you've been working on pre-holidays that we didn't get to? Features that are coming out? Cool work underway?
We are pushing pretty hard on Effect 4 right now, and I think we're pretty close to betas. Still not committing to like a specific timeline, but I think we're really close to making 4.0 available in beta for folks, which is cool. We just have like a few last things to do. I think it's important to note that like when 4.0 comes out in beta, there may be like bugs or things that are missing. So it's important that like during that beta period, Do I think that beta will come out this year? Yes. Ideally, if I had my way, we'd have it out this month. But we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, I think like when the beta is out, it'll be important for folks to like report things that they encounter, because then we can like quickly resolve those things. I mean, for people who want to kick the tires on 4.0, I've told you that all this before, but we publish snapshot releases, and it's really easy to use those. In fact, I think I'm gonna be starting to try to stream every morning or most mornings. I think I'm gonna spend like maybe the first few weeks of the year refactoring my own Twitch integrations to use Effect Cluster and maybe Effect Workflow. And I'm going to use 4.0 to do that, like the snapshot releases. So stay tuned on my Twitch for when I go live, I guess. But yeah, I'm going to try to start doing that. It'll also be a good opportunity for me to learn a little bit more about like get a deeper understanding of using cluster and workflow and things like that, and maybe show folks like how they can get started.
Amazing. Yeah. I really want to use more cluster stuff. I always have the problem of like the things I work on are weird, like visualizations and tutorials. And therefore I would really have to shoehorn in the requirement for clustering. One thing though is like, we do use it. It is sort of a way of using workers, right? That same API can use the cluster stuff to get sort of true parallelism.
I don't know if we have a protocol to use it across workers yet, but you can use it. Like, I'm not sure if we support like workers in the browser yet, but I mean, the way that clusters currently, it will eventually, like, let me be clear, it will eventually, but right now you get like the parallelism by running many node processes. So like every runner is a different process in your cluster. So like the parallelism you get is by having multiple processes, not necessarily multiple workers in a single, like spawning off a single process.
Sure.
So like the idea I have right now, like my Twitch integrations really would benefit from clustering, because like there's like Effect Cluster uses like the actor model for communication, and my Twitch integrations are basically like a single process actor model. I have like a giant pub sub thing that I like send messages between different services in my Twitch integration. So like basically the idea would be to break those out into actual proper like entities and like potentially run them across different machines, things like that. Anyway.
I would like to, maybe we could just quickly answer this question, because I'm assuming the answer is you probably don't want to do that yet.
There's gonna be stuff that's probably missing, but like how safe is it to use in prod? I mean, I think that you could probably, I wouldn't like use it for a production system right away. But you could start trialing snapshots in like your applications and maybe in a staging environment or something like that, just to like help us identify gaps. Because like we try to do a pretty good job of making sure everything got ported over, and some stuff is like the usage of certain things has changed. So yeah, I mean, if you want to like use it in a development environment, I think that's fine. How do we find Twitchers on Twitch?
I don't know what that means.
Me either. But if you're asking how do you find us on Twitch, I can post my own Twitch, I guess. And then where's yours, Max? Good question. Here we go. I'll put it in chat. Twitch.tv/min.
Yeah, and I don't stream at this time. Maybe I'll start that at some point. But it's hard.
Introduction to Effect Workflow would be great. Yeah, I think once 4.0 is out, we're planning on like making a lot of stuff more robust. I think the reason I'm thinking of doing this like streaming thingy is, one, because like I want to have a much better understanding of cluster. I haven't like used it properly outside of the Discord bot that we run yet. But yeah, if you guys wanted to watch me struggle and learn and see me like going through the process in real time, please Join my Twitch streams in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. Effect 4 is, so Ratius asks, maybe we can put this up on screen. How do I do that? Oh, I can't.
I can do it.
Yes, Effect 4 event, when it comes out and is out of beta and is like properly released as the 4.0 version of Effect, the idea is to have it be the LTS version of Effect. So there will be much fewer major version changes where you have to do a bunch of refactoring. Yeah, the idea, we don't have an LTS schedule yet. And we also don't have a schedule for how long 3.0 will be supported, but I think at least 6 months to a year. We'll be like backporting bug fixes and doing bug fixes and maintaining that. So when 4.0 is properly released, we'll have like we'll announce like a proper schedule for all of these things. Are the v4 snapshots you mentioned the package.pr.new releases? Yes. We use package PR new to create the snapshots to make them like npm installable.
I did struggle doing it. Maybe I'm just an idiot, but it was surprisingly difficult for me, aka Claude, who I'm just a proxy for, to get that set up. I don't know. Maybe we don't want to like make it super easy so people don't say, hey, let's add it to prod. But
you should literally be able to just copy the command out of our CI. So there's like maybe I can share my screen and show.
Is it possible to get like a little badge or something for the current released version? I think that maybe that's the thing. Like you have to know where to look in the CI, and then I was trying to use it in like a workspace project, and that's what screwed it up.
I think that they do have the ability to create a badge now. But let me share my screen. Cancel. Hang on 1 second. Let me open GitHub and just share this because I don't know what I'm going to share. Screen. This. Share. Can you see my screen? I'll make it bigger in a second. Okay, cool. Let me make it bigger. So if you go into any of the most recently merged PRs, there's a few ways to do this. This is probably the easiest. If you like go into like the most recently merged PR, then you scroll down to the details. You can see there is somewhere in here a snapshot. Here we go. Publish a snapshot job. And if you click on the details here, somewhere near this is one place you can get all of the snapshots, and it gives the npm install version. And you can literally just run this and it'll make the package available. There's another way to get to this information. I find the GitHub Actions UI to be very difficult to navigate, but let me just...
I don't think you're alone in that. It's been publicly mocked increasingly for its slowness and its maybe overall usability.
There's a screen somewhere in here that like will actually list there's a screen somewhere in here that will actually list like the snapshot job, like the things you have to install as like markdown, but I can't find it right now. While I struggle with finding this, maybe we can answer more questions.
Yes. Well, I mean, I think that's kind of the case in point. If we might want to make it easier to access, if we want people to, if we want it to be easy to access, or maybe it should be a challenge until we're ready with the beta, and then of course we'll make it easier.
Only people who can find the install statements can actually use our snapshots. Those are the people that deserve it.
And I don't know if it works either with like upgrade interactive latest, all those sorts of tools.
No, I don't think that'll work. It won't work because it's not Semver. Like their version based on the git commit hash of the main branch. Well, technically the git commit of whatever branch it is, because we publish snapshots from our PRs as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it won't work with like, the update latest for PNPM commands, whatever. God, somebody help me find this.
Someone linked to you, I believe. linked
Awesome.
it to you.
Let me see.
Brendonovich, thank you.
Copy link address. Let's see. Am I going to get rickrolled here? Yes, this. However you reach this screen, this is what I was talking about. And you can like see the actual install commands. But yeah, I think package PR new, if I'm not mistaken, package PR new. Let me just... I think that they have the ability for us to make a good badge, you know? Yeah, you can make a badge.
We do have another quest. Oh, sorry. Oh, you can't
No, I
make
was
a
going
badge.
to say,
Okay.
I can probably just do this after office hours today, figure out how to get the badge to work. So,
Cool.
Yeah. I'm going to stop
That
sharing.
could be helpful if we want more people to help us alpha, pre-alpha,
Do
Omega
we, though?
test.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know. Yeah, Effect 4 is very exclusive. It's a subscription-based release.
It's our V Plus. Effect 4 is actually Effect Plus.
How is V Plus doing? I wonder if that
I
model
don't
is
know.
going to succeed.
No comment. Integrations for React, like Effect Atom, will be integrated in the core. I think one of the this is a question. I think one of the major gains on V4 is the size, and probably makes more sense to use Effect in the front end instead of use Effect. Yes, Andres. And actually, since we're just here anyways, I'll share my screen again. Share screen. This I know how to do. Share. You'll see that there is a PR that Tim is currently working on. Tim's on vacation right now, but when he gets back, there's a PR we're working on to add Atom into core, and then we'll probably still have ecosystem packages for like Atom React, Atom Vue, etc. So yes, the answer to your question is yes.
Very cool. Yeah, Atom is so good. I love it so much. I used it, by the way, for... Maybe I'll briefly shill, because I've already shared the link, but let me just...
Chill it. Chill.
Let's shill. Share screen.
Chill away.
Share. Effect Institute.
Real quick, thank you, Morgs32 and 1FIWS for the follow on Twitch. Thank you very much. It's very nice.
Ooh. Prime subby. That's what people say. All right. I've never...
Those are not
Thanks for the
subs. I think
Prime.
these are follows, but I appreciate all the support nonetheless. It's very much appreciated.
Well, here's a screen. I hope this is a decent size or whatever. I've been using Aerospace for window management because I can't, as tempting as Omarchi is, apparently, I don't have
I've been
time
hearing
for
a lot
that
of
right
good
now.
things about Aerospace. What's the 30-second benefit that you get from it?
So it's a window manager, which if you've never used one, I don't think that is very meaningful to anyone, except like if you're used to Mac OS, you have these you can have these different desktops, or if you go full screen, you can swipe between them. But that's always been so frustrating because there's this long animation lag for it to slide over here, try to find it. They always reorder themselves. It's really rather obnoxious. There's limited keystrokes, hotkeys support. So what this lets you do is have some keyboard shortcut. For me, it's like Option and the numbers 1 through 9. It simulates this by taking all your windows and it doesn't matter how it implements it, I guess. But you hit Option 1. You can assign windows to workspaces. They automatically full screen in that workspace. Not actual full screen, but just like it, because it's a hack. But it goes the size of your screen as a window. If you add a second window, they'll sort of split and share the screen. You can sort of resize each one. But it just lets you use your keyboard to jump quickly between workspaces. You can assign applications to different workspaces so they always open in certain places. So it's a really good way to multitask, to switch between your editor and your browser and different whatever screens really quickly without any animation lag. So just, it feels really good. It takes a while to get used to, but
I'll have to look at that.
it's worth it. It's called Aerospace. And also, like anything these days, you can use Claude to help you configure it. So just tell it, hey, Claude, help me set up Aerospace. Help me set up these keyboard shortcuts, and it'll edit the config.
Don't listen to him, Chad. He's been taken over by the Claude Mind virus.
No, and you should give it your bank account information as well. We'll just let it do everything for you. Make your investments.
Thank you, Dark Battle Duck, and Set IRB for your follows as well. Thank you very much.
We're twitching out hard here.
We Twitch. We Twitch here in office hours.
So this is I'll talk about this briefly. I made a visual effect website. I can sign out here, and it'll give a little call to action button. Ooh, it's locked. There's 2 chapters right now, so you can sign up with GitHub, and what is it? So here's some feedback that I received from this course. If you right click on a lesson, you can leave feedback. So tell me if you hate something or if you like something. I collected all the nice things people said and then put it up top. People didn't say anything mean. It was just like, this is broken or something. I think I fixed most of the issues.
Only the nice feedback.
Yeah, well, sure. I'm not going to be like this. The button on page 5 is wonky. So anyway, so you go to a lesson, and on half of the screen is text, and the other half is some kind of code or other animation. You can click to play. There's also keyboard controls. I've scroll jacked you, so if you try to scroll, it'll try to politely tell you that you should use the arrow keys to navigate, and then hit space. That's how I do it, and it. Can you hear that, by the way? I'm not sure if it shares the audio.
Yeah, that is a little bit loud. But it'll share the audio.
We'll go with it.
We just got an earful of Kiss. And his,
and it's me with my microphone doing my ASMR voice too, which is what happens
radio
when I record
DJ.
Welcome
also known,
to the Effect Institute.
Also known as Kit's Portal 2 voice.
Yes.
GLaDOS.
But you can also hold the command key. This is a secret that's not told anywhere else, so you'll have to figure it out here, but you can jump to any particular word. So you can see that the animations are synced with the word, so it says effect, and then if I click on institute. So, I'll play it this first sentence one more time, so prepared to... okay, no, I won't. If your neighbors heard that, I won't do that again. I don't know how to just make this quieter. Maybe it's what is the volume wars? Maybe I added a little too much compression, but... Anyway, you get the idea. So this is just a tutorial, tells you how to use the thing. But then there's all these code examples that are animated. They sort of highlight as you go through it. I can hit the left and right arrow keys. You can hit GH to go home. There's some Vim controls. You can use J and K. And then the last one, I wish I could not show it, but there's all these effect visuals. So when it's running, you get this pretty little pulsing animation. And then when it completes, it makes a little sound. And looks cool. Similarly let me go to one on failure. Where's failure? Boom. So this one's pretty satisfying, I think. Too chunky. So when we run this, it fails. Too chunky. And look at that little boof. It feels so good. It's these visual narrated lessons. I'm going to make a lot more. If you sign up, I will push a sort of an email every time I release a new chapter. I will be mindful to not spam that ability. You can always unsubscribe from the emails and settings. I'll probably make a way so you can even get more notifications if you just want to know every time I make any sort of modest update to whatever. But let me know what you think. It's weird. I'm pretty proud of it. Put a lot of work into it. I've been obsessed with this weird idea for many years of I don't know why, of having a transcript that's highlighted and synchronized to animations, code animations. But yeah. Hopefully it's cool. Like and retweet and share it with all your friends. So this will be to just talk about it just a little more conceptually. I could have made just some videos. I could have made just a tutorial blog post or worked on the docs. But my thinking is, today everything is getting weird, right, with AI. The purpose of this, this is for humans. I already made something called effect.solutions, which is a guide you can copy paste into your terminal, and it should teach, just sort of concise best practices that the agents will need to know. But this is very much for humans, to entertain them, to hypnotize them, to onboard them to this sort of effect conceptually. It will go into some amount of detail, of course, but really what I want to understand, teaches the things that just watching AI write code will not give you, which is the sort of a deep understanding, an intuitive understanding, ideally, of the concepts of what laziness is, of what effect systems are, error handling, in effect, why that's nice, what it enables, dependency injection, how layers work, how to use them, what they gain you. So really high level, high leverage thing. Sorry.
What the people don't know is that it's actually got subliminal messaging the whole time. And it just there's a very low undertone of just use effect.
That's why it's so loud, and that's why when your neighbors heard that, they're now sort of automatically downloading. They're going to effect.com or effect.website.
I don't know if you guys watched The Simpsons, but do you remember that episode, the Yvonne et Niage episode?
Yvonne et Niage, join the Navy. Hell yeah, of course. That's cooked into my...
This is the effect version of Yvonne et Niage.
Yvonne the Teffy? Anyway, it's like hef.
I'll let you figure that one out, and then we can put that all over
I'll spend the rest
too.
of the day trying to word rotate. See, there's word cells and shape rotators, but word rotators, they're the real champions. They're the top of the food chain. Or shape cells. So anyway, I guess that's lame now. It's been 2 years since that neologism. Okay, well anyway, yeah, I hope that's cool. The nice thing about this as well, I'll probably do a post at some point on like how it's implemented, but this website on localhost also serves as like a development environment, so I can record live and it'll auto transcribe and update the thing so I can synchronize it to the code and sort of do everything live and reorder the content, delete content, update content. So part of this idea is like, if I recorded a bunch of videos and we came up with effect.4, I would have to re-record all the videos, or I wouldn't, or I would hate my life. With this, I can just refactor the code and it'll still be synced with the audio if I don't specifically mention function names. And if I do, I can easily record just 30 seconds of audio at a time instead of a 30-minute video. So hopefully it'll be easy to update and just push out content constantly and update it and reorder it and add missing things if there's a confusion or if I've repeated myself too much or whatever happens. So yeah, it should be fun. I'm very excited about it. I'll stop sharing now, but that's effect.institute. Tell everyone you know. Yeah, hopefully it's like serves also this purpose of people, you want to tell people about Effect, and they have, instead of sending them to effect.website, which is a great website, and we're going to have an even nicer landing page, but if they want sort of a more audio-visual, potentially tantalizing, hypnotizing first experience with Effect, that's kind of what the goal is. To convince the humans, and then the humans will tell their agents to do the hard work, but they'll understand what's happening and know that why it's good.
When can we expect institute.effect.institute, which actually walks through how you built effect.institute?
Okay, I'll have to make a subdomain soon. It does use, I think the reason I shared that in the first place, well, besides wanting to share it, is it does all use effect.atom and everything, and it makes it really nice to do a lot of things that I think with just regular React, it would have been much more painful. But who knows?
Well, I listened to the second episode last night while I was in bed, and then promptly was lulled to sleep by Fitz Bliss. So you can now just feel satisfied knowing that. But
that's hilarious.
Even for somebody who knows Effect pretty well, I guess at this point I enjoyed the Institute.
That's very nice to hear. Yes. I'm sure you learned a thing or two. Did you know Effect propagates error types?
I had no idea until I watched
the episode. Yeah, it's pretty basic so far. Like if you know Effect, it's not going to teach you anything new just yet. We'll get there. I want to go as deep as I can, but there's a lot of sort of foundational ground to cover. And if you right-click anywhere or in the settings bar, you can leave feedback, and that'll get sent to... It'll open up a GitHub issue for me privately behind the scenes, and it'll say what lesson you lodged the feedback under. So please do that. Let me know what sucks. Let me know what you like, or if something's confusing, be as harsh as you want to be. It's very useful.
But only nice feedback will show up on the homepage.
But you will be, deleted. I will hate you, and you will be deleted from the front end. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask about that too. But yeah.
Does anybody have any questions or things that we can talk about? Because I think Joey has a question. Joey, do we want to have Joey join the call? If you're comfortable with that.
It's up to Joey. You can join the call, Joey, or you can just ask. It's up to you. Can I change cameraless? Change cameras or change cameraless?
Join cameraless.
Oh, sure.
I think so.
Of course. I think so. I mean, just click the button and then you can hide your camera. We'll
secretly re-enable it behind the scenes. Just kidding.
I don't think we have that power. Maybe we do. Join at your own risk. Just be, Everyone knows the Zoom. You don't have a Zoom snafu. No one wants the Zoom snafus. That was 2020, 2021.
Yeah, that was 2021 era. Well,
I see the button. Okay.
There we go.
What's up, guys?
Hello,
Welcome,
Joey.
How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Brilliantly.
I have a quick question about services. So there's a pattern that I saw someone else use, which is like the make use pattern. I can kind of like copy and paste.
Yeah. If you paste some code, I mean, it'll look terrible in Riverside chat, but it doesn't matter. I'll share.
If you put it in Discord, it'll probably be easier for us to see it if you're in Discord.
I'll put in Discord.
Cool.
Which channel?
There's
an office hours channel. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll share can I share the link?
Okay. Office
Copy
hours
link.
channel.
In fact, I'll make a thread for today.
We have a group chat as well. I could put it in there, possibly.
Office hours. January 7th, 2026.
Okay. So let me grab this and I'll share it in some website. Here we go.
Okay.
TypeScript. Yeah, we've got to come up with a better way of sharing code. Maybe this would be a little app we can build. Is a nicer way for people to submit code that we can immediately look at.
I think that's called the effects playground.
That's true. That is absolutely true. But even something different. I don't know. I just want to build out more things. But you're totally right that we already have that. Let me share it. Let me share the screen. But then it has to compile. You know what I mean? And it has to be fully featured. Let me see. Beautiful images of code. Hey, Raycast. Okay.
Boom. So
okay.
My question: I saw someone doing this use pattern before, where like you don't have to like implement every single method on a service. Like in this case, Privy client is just from the Privy SDK. I'm confused in how I can mock this, and like make like a mock version of this client.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. So yes, because the interface of this service is going to have Privy client there. So this is sort of a convenience, but you basically would then have to somehow mock the Privy client, which is not going to be fun for you. So I would say if you want to have a mock implementation, what the service pattern gives you is an interface, and you can provide different implementations of that interface. But if the interface is one that exposes an implementation detail of Privy client, then you're kind of doomed. So this is like a convenience that some people recommend, and it's fine. Something that you'll also see, though, you can still use the use pattern for the live implementation, but just do that internally. So you'll have use up here as like a little helper function, const use equals whatever. This doesn't need to compile, and then you'll re-expose whatever sign in method, and then this can be use thing. So you can use that to implement your public API. But then you have this will be the interface, and you can easily then make an in-memory layer for this as well. Does that make sense? That makes sense.
Yes, it does. I'm gonna play with that.
Another like slightly, I guess, fancier idea could be. I'm not exactly sure how this would work yet. I'd have to like tool around with it, but you could probably use like a proxy that you pass in for the Privy client, and basically like the proxy would just pass all its method as like mocks. You could use like a JavaScript proxy, like the proxy object. But yeah, Kit, you can keep going. I like Kit's solution better.
Morgan did ask that it's totally fair because I've just kind of sketched. I've hand waved here. It's probably a good idea to talk about this more. So, what is the use function? I mean, I think you talked about this in your workshop that I think is pinned to the top of the effect channel, maybe, or Ethan has talked about. Different people have talked about it in different places, but to briefly reiterate, like it's just an abstraction. So how would you do this without this use thing? Is you would take some method that would exist that you would want to expose from Privy. Do you know any? I'm not familiar. What would be one method?
Like sign in.
Okay, so there is sign in. And this would take, this would be a function, let's say, that takes your username, a string, and a password string. Probably does something else here, but whatever. And then, because we're returning this interface, actually what I tend to do, I'll copy this, is just make consts for the sort of public interface. and I've broken something with all this. Okay, so this is here. It would say const sign in, and we would do whatever. If we have our privy client, which I don't know, yeah, you've created up here, we would basically say, effect.sync, or maybe it's effect.tryPromise. Here I'll just do effect.promise, give it a callback, and here we would call something, we would just delegate basically to client.signin user password. Usually you're going to also password. You'll also do something, you'll pipe some effect, handling. You'll map the error into some custom error type you expose using schema.tagged error. You might do some retry logic. Like there's going to be some common stuff. And so you're also going to have const sign out, sign out for the user or whatever, session ID, who knows. And you're going to have all of these things that help you integrate it into Effect or just surface a nicer, more idiomatic API. And instead of having to do... Oh, sorry.
I think you need to move the pipe one parens.
You are totally right. You're totally right. So this will be on the outside, and you can imagine like there's a bunch of lines of code that you're going to do in every single method. So how would you abstract this? Like you look at the duplication. Where does it differ? Well, it differs in what's basically inside of this thunk. So what you would do is you would copy this, put it at the top, make a little quote unquote, it's only private by dint of being sort of scoped to this closure, and you wouldn't expose it in the final interface. Then you would have a use function that would, you would have to take the client, you would need to give the user a function, like basically it would be like this. Mm-hmm. We would somehow call this, because we don't know what they're going to do with it. Mm-hmm. And so that's really it. And so this is going to be a function now that takes a privy client and goes to something, an A, right? And so it needs to be an A. And maybe this is actually going to be a promise of an A for this whole signature to work. And then, of course, this gets you back an effect of A, and maybe like privy error, and that's it. And so you would replace all these with something just like use client.sign in, and then you don't have to worry about replicating all that pipery everywhere. So you'll save some lines of code, and that's kind of what the use pattern is. And so they could be useful both as just an internal abstraction, just to dry up your various interfaces, or you can expose it as a top-level function and just have that, so you don't have to worry about replicating the public interface if you want to save time, if it's like an internal tool, if it just doesn't matter. But if you do want to create mocks, I would recommend asking your favorite factotum LLM to do it for you. Yeah.
Makes sense. So whenever I would want a new privy use case, I would just code it in the service. I would just define the method in the service. Or I would just I would define the method in the service and just mock it.
You just keep adding here. So const delete entire wallet or whatever. For the user, whatever you want to do,
I guess
you just
this
add
is
another
a bit safer as well.
But yeah, depending. You're going to. It's going to force you to specify opt-in to what methods you expose, and therefore, you can maybe you want to handle them differently. Maybe you don't just want to do the same logic for each of them. So on some of them, you want to pipe some other thing, like this needs a different retry policy. I mean, at that point, you can always like add a second argument for retry policy, or schedule or whatever. That's just, that's up to you. There's nothing magical about the use pattern. It's kind of just an abstraction, just to dry up certain patterns.
Makes sense. Thanks. I appreciate it. I'm going to play with it.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for calling in, Joey. That was a really fun question. That was perfectly scoped. That was like ideal.
Awesome. I'm glad.
All right. Talk to you later, man.
All right. Bye, guys.
Awesome. Great. Any other questions like that? That was perfect. Let me check. Maybe did we get any that came in?
I didn't see any on Discord yet, but unless I missed them.
Cool. Well, we could just sort of twiddle our thumbs and be sort of awkward, and nervous.
Just sit here.
Yeah. Do you like my subtitle, by the way?
Creator of effect. This makes sense.
Thank you. It makes sense.
It does make sense. It is factual. That's what Graph told me.
That's why. That's the reason of the sense.
Hopefully Mike is listening. Our number one effect intern. I'm only the number 2 effect intern. I'm not quite.
Let's get you a subtitle.
I haven't quite risen the ranks yet. So actually, I'm probably like further down than number 2.
Yeah, I made tertiary.
Yeah, because Tim is definitely like, ascending the ranks faster than I am.
You're going to be quaternary now.
Quaternary, yeah.
Did I do that right? Quaternary, I think so. So small, the font. Effect.effect. Oh yeah, I screwed up the font. Yes, it wasn't compiling. Maybe we should use effect.playground next time. Take care, Joey. Well, cool. I don't know what else there's to talk about. I mean, it would be good to do some. This is fun. I like updating what we've been working on. I think maybe we'll have more and more updates as well as V4 gets closer down the line.
I can shill some work that Julio did recently.
Yeah. I want to learn about all the new
I don't know if
schema stuff.
I don't know if he wants me to shill it, but I'm going to do it anyways. Let me show. Share. So just recently in Effect 4.0, Julia's been doing a ton of work on basically interrupt between different types of schema related stuff. He can probably explain this a lot better than I can. But the idea is that there's like a standard schema module now. So if I open separate, I want to keep my PRs open, but I also want to go in here. Packages, effect, source. So in here, schema standard, that's what it is. So there's this schema standard module now, which sort of represents schemas that can be serialized and deserialized. And it's like the data structure for those types of schemas. So any schema that actually has the ability to be serialized, sent over the wire, and then deserialized on the other end would be represented by this like schema standard data structure. And by unifying around this standard like data structure, he's sort of unlocked a bunch of interesting things. So this schema standard thing would be what we use for code generation, for example, like schema code generation. So in Effect 4.0, you'll notice that there's this tools directory where we've been working on porting the functionality of the OpenAPI generator from like Tim's personal repo to bring it underneath the actual effect umbrella. And the OpenAPI generator now uses schema standard to do like the code generation that needs to be done. And it also kind of sits at the center of all of these different types of transformations. So like if you have a schema standard, whatever. If you have it in this structure, you can also generate other things very easily. So you can generate all the different types of JSON schema versions that we support. So we support like a bunch of different, in our OpenAPI generator, we obviously use the OpenAPI versions, but you can generate JSON schemas. The like standard for us would be the 2012 version of JSON schema, but like you can go between different JSON schema versions. You can do a lot of different things with this new schema standard thing. So I kind of wanted to like just show off some of the work that Julio's been doing with schema to make it like super powerful in 4.0. I think like being able to take the model for your data, serialize it, send it over the wire to like some client and have it available there is like something that's like crazy powerful. And like, I don't think any other schema library can do that. Unless you like serialize to a JSON schema, send that over the wire, deserialize back. It's like whatever, but we actually have like our own data structure that supports doing this, which is kind of cool. So like in 3.0, we've been asked numerous times about like if I have a JSON schema, for example, or an open API spec or some other data structure, a serialized data structure, and I want to create a schema out of it, how do I do that? Well, now if you take that serialized data structure and convert it to a schema standard, you can produce an effect schema from that, which is kind of cool. And end users, I still don't, Julio's still explaining this to me a little bit, but end users have the ability to customize like how things are generated through annotations in 4.0. So like for their own custom data types, you can actually control the generation that happens, which is kind of cool. So anyway, I just wanted to show this off because I think it's super cool. I know it's like a little bit abstract because I'm not like showing off like a visual. But I think that like the utilities in 4.0 that we have for working with schemas, and how that also relates to working with JSON schema and like basically doing those types of interoperations, is going to be like much easier for folks. And I'm really excited, for people to get their hands on this and see what they come up with. Let's see if there's any additional information that Julio put into any of these PRs. I don't think so. But anyway, wanted to show off his work because sometimes I feel like it goes under the radar, and I think he's doing like some wild stuff with schema in JavaScript. And yeah, just wanted to kind of like give kudos where kudos was due.
Yeah, we should definitely spend some time at some point just going over everything that it can do.
I see Philip commenting on my cluster dashboard PR. Please, yeah, that is very much a draft, but okay, fine. I wasn't going to show this on screen because I didn't want people to get excited, but I've been like tooling around with what a dashboard could look like for Effect Cluster. This is by no means what's going to exist. This is me just like tooling around. Please don't hold me to any of this. I'm just showing it because we have nothing else to talk about right now.
All right.
But this is kind of like I used V0 to help me come up with what a dashboard could potentially look like for Effect Cluster. Like, you know, if you have multiple clusters running or whatever, you could swap between them and manage your different clusters. The idea that I have is that the dashboard would join your cluster as like a client-only entity. You could connect to your cluster via the settings that you have here. And then if you are just running an Effect Cluster, you'd have the ability to like look at the different nodes that are running. You'd have the ability to look at different entities and what's going on there. Maybe get an idea of like how shards are split, although this view is not super useful since shards are deterministic now, with the new like hash ring allocation that Tim came up with to get rid of the shard manager service. So like this view is not super useful, but it is pretty. And then if you're running workflows, you know, I had to come up with like a little workflow view that can show you like the activities that you're running and like the definitions of the different workflows you have and like what the structure of those things look like and different things. So like, anyway, this was 100% me just like fooling around over the holidays or whenever I did this with Effect Cluster. And then I had been seeing all this hype about Opus 4.5 on Twitter. So when I got back from my vacation yesterday or the day before, whatever it was, Monday, I started working with Opus to see if it could incorporate all of these different metrics and things like that into the cluster in 4.0. And that's why you would see, like, if I share my screen again to the right screen. Share. That's why this PR exists, because like I was just tooling around, seeing if I could expose all the metrics that are needed from the sharding service. But again, I don't know that this is even how we're going to do things. Like right now, this is just exposing like these different methods. But I think maybe I have to talk with Mike a little bit more about this, but maybe exposing these as like metrics, like cluster metrics, instead of having like separate methods you call makes more sense. But I'm not sure. So anyway, that's the experimentation I've been doing with some cluster related stuff. But this is like still super early, and please don't hold me to anything that you saw.
Where are the sound effects?
That's what I'm waiting for you for, Kit. That once I've finalized this, I'm bringing Kit in to add sound effects to our dashboard.
Yeah, and jiggling divs. Needs more jiggles and flashes.
Effect telemetry viewer when? Yeah, really.
When?
That's Kit's next project. We just haven't told him yet.
We got another question. Is it recommended by the effect team to write your effect code with the help of an LLM? Like, is there any justification of learning the effect library without an LLM? That's a deep question. I think, I mean, personally, it's weird, right? Like, we live in a very strange time.
Don't you feel like learning any library, if you're going to use the library, like learning it yourself is also a good thing to do? Maybe like getting productive with it with an LLM right out the gate is helpful, but like, don't you feel like you would learn it as you go? What do you think, Kit? I don't know.
I mean, I think things are definitely changing. It's weird, right? Because if you're writing, say, before LLMs, do you need to understand assembly? Do you need to understand compiler internals? Do you need to understand register allocations and all the tricks that compilers do in an LLVM and whatever to write at a higher level? Most of the time, I mean, it depends, all right? Everything depends. It's boring. If you're making web apps, probably not. If you're making your own low-level systems programming language, probably yes. You don't always need to know the entire stack. And like, I think there's some, I don't know what it is, vanity, pride. People like to say, I did see this insane post by somebody recently. It was kind of like an LLM-generated Twitter post that did very well, which is always confusing to me. But it was just like, no, there's no gatekeeping anymore. No longer is like memorizing APIs. Anyone can build now. You don't have to. It's not about who can memorize the most APIs. It's like that was the real. Was it just memorizing APIs? I don't think that was what our comparative advantage was. But anyway. It's always tricky, right? Like, you have to look at what it gives you the most leverage. We only have one life. We only have so much time. Learning everything about everything clearly isn't the right approach. But what's going to make you the most effective, given your what you're doing and what tools you have? I think more than ever, you can. Yes. Always accidentally. So yeah, things are very weird now where you can work at a higher level, and like code is kind of becoming what was previously machine code. Not 100%, definitely not yet, but Jesus, things are accelerating at a crazy clip. So I wouldn't say don't learn how things work, but I mean, for me, it's like I'm able to iterate more, experiment more, try more things out, and then when I get a sense of what's actually valuable or important on zooming in on, I will zoom in on that thing and spend more time truly understanding it. Effect does pitch itself and sort of is this foundational piece of infrastructure. It's sort of it's not just like a little weird library you use here and there. Like I don't know off the top of my head, something like Nux NUQS. I've seen that, right? So like that's just a little utility library. It seems to be very popular and nice for dealing with query parameters and React or whatever. I don't know, but that's something that I probably wouldn't. I would have an LLM implement it, and then if I would check to see that functionally it worked, and then afterwards it'd be like, cool. I don't really need to learn the niceties of that API. Effect is more foundational. It's going to be everywhere in your code. It's a bit of a different paradigm. So I think that is useful to probably understand more at this point. But maybe that'll change in the future. Like, this is such a weird technology, LLMs, because if it is truly intelligence, and it certainly feels like a form of synthetic intelligence, right? Artificial intelligence, maybe? That would be a good term I should come up with. There might be a point where it actually becomes better than us and has more taste than us, and that's going to be freaking creepy. And then it's just like, well, yeah, I don't know, then just say, do the thing. Or at that point, if it has more taste than us, maybe it has better product design instincts than us, and it's just like, why are you even there at all? So things are going to get weird. We're now in this intermediate period where it's very jagged intelligence, is whatever Karpathy says. And like I see all these blog posts also written by LLMs, and it's this really frustrating experience where sometimes they'll do very well, but before in the past, one little rant. Before in the past, before LLMs, let's just take prose for instance. If you saw a piece of prose, and you can kind of just get you can do a squint test on a document. Oh, it looks like the punctuation's correct. They're using M dashes. Ooh, they must be a fancy man to know how to hit that on the keyboard and activate an M dash. They probably the effort that they've clearly put into the sort of just the formal presentation of their prose, their text, their vocabulary, signals a certain amount of effort, and you would imagine that that's going to correlate to the effort of the ideas behind the text. So if you see something well written, well punctuated, grammatically correct, not all misspelled, that's signaling. That was a useful, costly signal that told you something about the quality, probably, of the ideas behind the text. Not that always held to be true, but it certainly, there was a correlation there, a pretty strong correlation. LLMs have completely broken that correlation between the sort of squint test formalisms of prose and the quality of the ideas behind them. Like, they let you generate something. Any slop idea can be projected into something that looks like, that's spelled correctly, that uses fancy M dashes. Now, there are tells that we've now learned to figure out, to sort of smell, like, oh, this is probably LLM generated. And why that's so disgusting and revolting to me, like those smells are so nauseating, is because of the experience of reading that kind of prose, where it's like, oh, instead of just being able to see, well, clearly this is like gobbledygook and they didn't put any effort in, it lures you in, you get lured in, and you're like, well, something's not making sense about this. I'm reading these sentences and they all like parse, but it's like those weird run-on, garden path sentences.
A lot of emoji usually.
Well, there's those tells too, which I think some people learn to cut out now, or they learn to, like, let's take the output and put it all in lowercase, right? So then it'll seem like it's, fresh and raw and zoomer and human written. But no, the stench of the underlying absence of ideas is going to shine through. And in the past, so there's this really good RFC written by Brian, somebody who works at Oxide Computer. They have all these public RFCs, and it's like about LLM usage in Oxide. And he has this one section. It's a really long post, and it's well done. It does use M dashes. He's holding strong to the M dashes, but it's not LLM generated. Where he says that there used to be a compact, an unspoken contract between a writer and a reader. That was the writer, Brian Cantrell, thank you. The writer has put in more effort into the document than the reader will put into the document. Like, the writer has read the whole thing, at least, as a bare minimum, because they've had to type it out. And they've also even put more effort, and they've sort of distilled and decocted this final idea. They've cut it down, they've edited it, they've changed the punctuation to really perfectly capture some idea, such that if you're the reader and you're reading through this and you're getting confused and there's some fog of war, you don't quite grasp your idea, you're going to say, well, clearly there's an idea here, and I'm going to work extra hard to understand it, because I think there's something valuable here, and it's not just like a big trick, unless the person is confused or tricking themselves, which can happen. But now you get that's all the time, where it's like there's this hugely jagged presentation where you're reading something and you're like, this doesn't make any, like, does this make sense? Should this make sense? And you're like, wait, there's nothing here. And you realize this halfway through and you just want to throw up. And you see that with all this writing, all these fucking screeds, like these thought pieces that CTOs and CEOs are posting on Twitter. It's driving me nuts. They're always like linking historical facts, like the printing press, the Gutenberg printing press, and Henry Ford. And it's like, it's clearly like these like historical trivia bits that GPT has thrown up onto your voice memo that you've then formatted and cut and paste into. Like, they all have the same flavor, and it's just driving me insane, and I don't know why they're doing well. It's like embarrassing to me. Same with these blog post websites that people are doing with interactions. I mean, one last thing, I put a lot of fucking effort into Affect That Institute, I must say, and of course I used LLMs to do it, but LLMs have allowed me to iterate more, to like be even more obsessive about every little thing. If something just rubs me the wrong way, well, I have no excuse but to sort of recurse on it until it's shiny. I mean, there's some rough edges, but for the main path, like I've recursed on it, sometimes with Claude, sometimes not, until I'm super happy with it. But it enables you to do that, and you should follow that, to have even more taste, to have even more observation, to spend more time really thinking and observing and differentiating between what you have and what the ideal is, and thinking about your standards. But it's also allowed people to have some like vague nascent idea and say, hey, Claude, come up with like use the front end design plugin and to put this here's a transcript of my voice memo that I recorded at the gym, make a blog post out of it and have some interactions. And then they're like, cool, upload. And it's this weird thing where it's like if you look closely at their interactions, it's like this is terrible. Like this is the polish is so jagged and weird. Like yes, it uses the fancy animations, but they jump and the formatting's off, and it just doesn't really make sense if you really look at it. And it just drives me insane. Where it feels like these traps that people are laying for people, these time traps, these idea traps. They've wasted everyone's time. So yeah, do better. Don't post slop. I don't know where I started with this, but you learn libraries sometimes. They're supposed to give you more time to go deeper of what counts and to iterate and experiment.
So in short, yes, use effect with LLMs. Now, I think I'll give my 2 cents on the effect with LLMs thingy. I think that if the LLMs do excellent with effect because it provides really great guardrails. I think and I've seen a couple of posts on X about this recently. But effect provides very nice guardrails for AI to work within. Like AI loves guardrails, LLMs love guardrails, and so I don't know. I think what LLMs have done for me as an engineer so far is allowed me to get started with technologies that I otherwise would not have touched, for fear of the time sink that I would have had to put in to learn them. For example, I learned Rust this year in 2 weeks. I'm not the best Rust engineer on the planet by any stretch of the imagination, but if I have questions about how something works in that language, I can easily chat with an LLM about hey, why is there this peculiar behavior with the borrow checker that I don't quite understand? I thought it was supposed to behave this way, but it's actually behaving this way. I think the same can be said of folks who want to get started with effect. Now, where maybe there is a perceived, there is a learning curve with effect, that's for sure, but maybe the perceived learning curve was too large for them to get started. I think that excuse doesn't exist anymore. I think those folks need to come up with a different excuse for why they don't want to use effect, whether it's they just don't want to use it, which is totally fine, or I don't know what the reasons are. But I think for me, the answer to the question about LLMs and effects and everything like that is, number one, I think it's lowered the barrier to getting started with new things like effect or any other library out there. And using it specifically with effect gives it really nice guardrails, especially when you pair it with other tools that effect provides, like the LSP and other things that actually give rich context to the LLM as it's working. So if I have the effect LSP installed and I'm working in open code, which can actually read LSP stuff, I felt the feedback loop is extremely tight and it does really, really well. So anyway, I still code manually for a lot of things because I just enjoy the tactile sensation of building something myself, typing on my keyboard, getting something done myself. But to Kit's point, there's no excuse, I think, for any of us anymore in not trying to learn something new, because LLMs have just lowered the barrier so much. Wow, that was a really long rant on both of our behalves.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of building up thoughts, pressure here. Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun. I think we should all be doing more, and we should be doing more. Push ourselves and have fun. This is crazy. We have this alien technology that we can use to iterate
I think the
with.
fun. It's been more fun than anything else, because yes, you could go on Twitter and feel pressure about not building enough, which happens to me sometimes too. I go on Twitter and I'm God, I'm not building enough. This is crazy. And then I remember I have a family and need to go touch grass. But I think the fun part about LLMs is they've just lowered the barrier to so many things, to learning things, right? If you want to go get started with effect tomorrow and you've never touched TypeScript, go ahead. The LLMs are going to make that easy for you. If you've never, written a line of Rust in your life, go to explore. For me, LLMs are an exploration and an iteration tool, kind of like Kit mentioned. When you have, they're pushing the quality of things further, pushing as opposed to removing your brain from the process.
Yes. Instead of, I think that's kind of the summary of all this, which is yes, they can enable you if you want to sort of check out and just push something that sort of vaguely from a distance looks coherent and post it to the web, and maybe because people just tend to look at headlines anyway, will be like, oh, okay, that looks like a thing, and they'll like it and it'll go big. Instead of just operating at this superficial level where we're kind of just like removing ourselves from the world, this is the opportunity to like go even deeper and to like really enjoy and to like automate some of the boilerplate stuff and to really not that you should optimize your life and everything, but like just it's more fun. You know, you can be more efficient in learning and get to the fun stuff faster and like really relish making something good and try to push yourself. Anyway, it's fun. Okay, well, it's that was good. Let's do this again next week.
Listen, everybody, thank you very much for joining us again. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back on schedule with our office hours. Please come armed with questions for next week. We much prefer when these sessions are not derailed by our own opinions, and like when Kit and I don't have to get up on our soapboxes, because Kit and I could definitely soapbox for the whole time, but it's more fun when we get to like review your code. And I think both of us enjoy like also the teaching aspect of that. So like definitely come armed with questions next time. Kit and I will talk about like things we could chat about next time as well. Maybe I'll have some cluster things I can talk about next time because I'll be using it on my streams until next week. But yeah, thank you everybody very much, and we'll see you all next time.
Take care, everybody.
Cheers, folks.